Hello, hello. Welcome back to the barn. This is a faith and physiology. Today we're doing faith, physiology, and breath. Something that we all tend to underestimate is breath. When I say breath, as a matter of fact, people get a little like, oh, she's woo woo. But today I want to talk about the physiology of why this is so powerful. Now, if this is your first time, you know that the first video that I did was very aesthetically unpleasing. You couldn't see me, but in the spirit of just starting, I am pleased to say that I am going along with this through all the mess ups. I'm being called to put every single thing on social media, not social media, but on YouTube, and not judge it, not hyperanalyze it, not say I need to do that over again. I'm just starting, and I'm showing you guys, hopefully through this process, the power of faith, which is what I'm doing here. And I feel like I have been called to represent the power of faith through the masterpiece of physiology. And trust me, I do not understand why this calling has been put on my heart, because personally, my journey of faith is very much so in progress. So for those people who have faith figured out, this probably isn't the right place for you. And for those of you who already have your health figured out and your physiology figured out, this probably isn't the space for you either. If you don't like mess ups and you're not okay with that and you want it to be perfect, this is also not a good place for you, because I am not a professional at any of this. Yesterday, I couldn't get my microphone to work, even though I did the exact same thing that I did today, and the microphone is working. If you know me, you know that technology is like a snake, and if it was a snake, it would kill me, because I would be dead, because technology is just, it's not my thing. And I'm starting this because it's been a calling that has just been nagging at me for actually kind of honestly like several years now, but I didn't feel like I was at the right place in my faith to even do this. But it's really powerful because it just kept coming after me, and we know that story in the Bible where he just keeps coming, and that's pretty much every story, but he just keeps coming for you. Like, it just keeps coming. You sometimes aren't ready for it. And it's funny looking back on all the times when it was like, you're going to do something where you're leading people to greater faith. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. That's not going to be me. It was like writing a book. And that wasn't like clicking with me, because I'm not necessarily a writer, but I also overthink things. Anyways, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole. But this time it resonated with me because as I was teaching a course at a college, I was teaching physiology at the college, and I was refreshing all of my knowledge on human physiology. I got to thinking, like, oh my gosh, some of these systems that we have, not some, all of the systems that we have, which in this series, I plan to talk about certain systems that made me just be like, my God, honestly. And it just pulled me closer to faith in this great intelligence of God. And some people will call it a million different things. And that's why I was like, God, I can't be the one to talk about faith, because I see it through so many perspectives. I have studied yoga. I have studied the Yoga Sutras. I've studied breathwork, pranayama. I've studied things that in a typical world Christians don't study, but I've also studied the Bible, and I've also studied all of this. And I'm like, it's all so powerful, and it's all the same thing. And it's all just us being called in so many different ways if we're open to see it. And so as I'm talking about physiology, I hope that you can see the beauty of what I'm seeing. And I'm hoping it can pull your faith, the power of your faith out of you, because it's always there. And so I hope to, one, teach you about your body, and two, give you some really practical exercises and tips that I personally use to see the power that's already always there, right? We are always, God is always with us, working through every cell, which is what I hope to show you, every organ, every tissue, all the time, as long as you're able to see it. And so that's how I hope to represent the power of faith to you. So today we are going to be talking a little bit more about the nervous system, but in a sense of breathing. Now, last time we talked about these automatic processes that our nervous system has. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, which it's big hype. That's a big hype term right now, or a big hype topic right now, is parasympathetic versus sympathetic, stress versus rest, digest, heal. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but you can go to the first video, which again isn't aesthetically pleasing, but it's a very powerful video, and you can get more information about that system, the bad reputations that it gets. Now, today I want to talk about one muscle that really impacts our lives, and why faith, physiology, and breathing is such a big topic that really gets so underestimated. So last time we talked about the nervous system. Yes, we talked, let's do purple. We talked about the brain. What makes up the nervous system is the brain, the spinal cord, and all the nerves that exit, right? So this is the spot that's coming out of your skull. This is the part that's in your skull, just to give you a little bit of reference. And we're looking at it like this, as if I was standing on the side. We're looking at it like this. Now, the nerves technically come out this way, but just for your sake, we remember that the nervous system is the brain, the spinal cord, all the nerves that exit. And here's the thing, there's lines of communication that are passing in different directions, right? Our body, our environment is giving us information, and that's going up and landing in certain different areas of the brain, and then we can process it in different areas. So if we get information from our sensation of our eyes, visual, it goes in and it travels to a certain part of the brain. If we get information from our foot, it goes up and it travels to certain places in our brain. And I think that's just a really powerful thing for you to know. But also, there's signals that are going, here, we'll use a different color, that are going from the brain. So it's starting here, and it's traveling down and then going out, okay, to the tissues. So that could be a muscle, that could be your gut, that could be your stomach. Any part of your body is controlled by this system, okay? It's the master coordinator. So if you think of the orchestra, I posted this on my Instagram, but it's the guy that's like jamming out, doing the orchestra. Yeah, he's really hype about, like, yeah, you hit that note, you hit that note. You can go to my Instagram and look at that video. It's really powerful. But when your nervous system is inspired, when it's in sync, when it's working properly, it is really cool to see how this system can coordinate certain things. And like we talked about last time, there's a balance. We're always balancing. But here's the thing, our brain is processing 11 trillion bits of information per second. So that's the temperature of the room is coming in, and your brain is processing that without you thinking about it. Your gut is digesting food or not digesting food without you thinking about it. Your heart's beating, your lungs are breathing without you thinking about it. That is so powerful to me. There's so much that's going on behind the scenes that we're not even thinking about. And let me talk just a little bit more about this. But this is the only system, really, truly, that is fully encased by bone. We have our lungs and our heart that are encased by our ribs, which means it's a pretty important organ, yes. But this is the only one that's fully surrounded by bones. Our brain has this big skull. As we go, every single bone that moves through our spinal column is protecting this system. And remember, we talked about this, and I'm going to reiterate this over and over and over again. Your brain's main goal is to keep you alive. So that's feed, find food, reproduce, right? And so if we think of it from that perspective, if we take all perspectives out and we just remember, hey, this system is actually really working to keep me alive. So can I look at it and show it my environment, be honest with it, show it my fears, show it. And I say it like it's a different part of us, but sometimes we really think that this system is a different part of us, but it is part of us. And it is us, and it's coordinating and controlling all these different parts that make you you. Hopefully I'm not losing you there, and I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, which is it's something that I can do, but I just wanted to make that very clear that this system is very, very, very well protected, and it's protecting you through everything that you do. Okay, so one of the things that I realized just now that I'm going to have to do is get an eraser. So, but in the spirit of just starting, I'm going to use my hand. So we know that that spinal cord, you pretty much get that it's surrounded. So we're going to take a look at it as if you're looking at it like this. It's surrounded by bone. So we've got this bone, right? Just for simplicity's sake, I'm not an artist, okay? And these bones are going all throughout your spinal cord, right? And let's just say, for instance, this is our lower one. So we have lower 5 vertebrae. And then at the very bottom, right, you have this triangular shaped bone. So we'll draw it right there. And the coccyx, which is your tailbone, it isn't there. So we'll just say that. But here's the cool thing. So the reason that I want to go here is because we're talking about breathing today. And people think it's super like woo-woo weird that this should happen. But as we're talking about the nervous system, and this spinal cord is traveling through these bones, so it's very protective. Inside here, we have discs that absorb shock, which is really, really cool. They help with the mobility of this spine. So we have our discs. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. But we have this. Remember, this is looking right here at this lumbar, this lower area. And these discs are helping to protect, bounce through shock. The bones are protecting the spinal cord. Now, here's the thing. Our brains are really cool in that if you stick your hand out, it knows pretty much where your hand is in time and space. If you don't have some kind of disconnect, if the system is working properly, your body knows where your body is in time and space, okay? To a certain degree. If you're really practicing on learning, hey, this is where my big toe is in time and space, then you're becoming more and more connected with your actual body. But as we're going through life, sometimes we get disconnected from certain areas. And that's when you start to see muscular imbalances. You start to see pain. You start to see people coming in with weird things like my shoulder drops. You hear, this is something that I hear all the time. I can look at myself in the mirror and my left shoulder is higher than my right and my right shoulder is dropped. You're not alone in that. That is such a common thing that we say. When you lay down on the table and one cheek is higher than the other, it's a common thing. It's through life, and it's oftentimes because our brain is seeing the body in an imbalanced way, but it's the best that it can do, right? It's still trying to keep you alive, keep you safe, keep your eyes level with horizon. Okay, that's really why we get muscular imbalances. Okay, now let's say here we're looking at this. And remember, we're talking about that nervous system where sensory information is coming in and traveling up, and then vice versa, from the brain out to the body. So around these bones in your body, you have what's called receptors. These are little areas of your nervous system, basically, that receive information and they send the signal up, okay? So in your spine, you have what's called proprioceptors. And this is how you see your body in time and space without actually seeing it. Because when I close my eyes, how do I know where my feet are? Well, the ground. Okay, well, how do I know where my hand is? Oh, well, it's because of proprioception. It's because you have all these little receptors that are sending signals to your brain to say, hey, this is where you are in time and space. And so you can test this out. You can take your hands out to the side, standing up, with your feet pretty close together. And if you feel like you're somebody who's unstable, it's best to have something behind you. But you can take your hands out to the side and you can take your tip of your finger and touch the tip of your nose. Sorry, I don't mean to like ruffle my microphone. Take your finger and touch your nose. Now, if you close your eyes, can you still do that? Or do you feel like you're all over the place? Like your thumb, your finger can't find your nose. That tells me that there's a disconnect between that point and your brain. Okay. So here in our lumbar spine, we have all of those proprioceptors that are telling your brain where you are in time and space. That's different strategies, different patterns that your muscles are sending back up. That's different locations. Could the bone be tipped? Could the bone be overextended? Could it be tucked? That is all getting sent up to your brain. Now, the disconnect part. Remember we talked about, if you watched the last video, we talked about just simply connecting with your body without judgment. And this is a good way, breathing is a really good way to do that, because what we're doing every time we take a breath, and I think this is so exciting, every time you take a breath, you're rocking these little vertebrae, which means that you're sending all of this yummy information up to the brain. And what if you take a breath and say, oh, this one's not moving? Say we're up here in the thoracic spine. Oh, this one's not moving. Well, then your brain gets that signal like, hey, something's not moving. That feels weird. And the more that you practice connecting with your body, the more your brain will recognize where your body is in time and space, which is why breathing is so powerful, even if it's just taking deep breaths. Okay? Now, why did I show this lumbar spine? Because you want the scientific, less woo-woo facts, which I just gave you. Proprioceptors are literally getting sent off, lighting up your brain. I like to say it's like sonar for your brain. So in a submarine, when they send a sound out and it comes back like, hey, there's something in front of you. It's the same kind of thing. You're breathing in and you're sending that signal back up to your brain that says, oh, hey, this one's moving really good. Oh, hey, this one's not. But if you're not practicing, your brain doesn't know what's moving and what's not, because it's just doing what it's doing to keep you alive. Okay. It's the difference between living and thriving. Okay. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay. So your diaphragm, which is the muscle that helps you breathe. So as you breathe in, this muscle pulls down, pulls your lungs, expands your lungs so that air can flow in. There are certain laws, and I would love to go down that rabbit hole with you, but we're going to do it on another day. But as this muscle pulls down, it pulls air into your lung. So this isn't a very energy draining process. Your body just naturally does this. Remember, without you thinking about it, because you'll have a little spot in your brain that's constantly just regulating your breathing. Okay. Now this diaphragm, we're going to draw it in pink. Okay. It's sitting at this level right above here. Okay. But it has some ligaments that come down and it attaches to these bones in your lumbar spine. So as it pulls down, these are pulling all of this down. And then as you breathe out, it's coming back up. So look at what's happening, because here's the thing. In my chiropractic office, I use breathing a lot. Like you're laying on the table and I'm like, breathe down to your tailbone. And people are like, my lungs don't go that far. No, they don't, but your intention can. But look here, they can at least go here. And as you're pulling this down, using these ligaments, these muscles that are here to help and assist, and to tell you the truth, you have all of these muscles that come down here and they attach to your hip bones. And so as you can see here, when you're breathing, you are activating all of these proprioceptors. Remember, the receptors that tell your brain where your body is in time and space. Now think about this. If you're a shallow breather, meaning you only breathe into your shoulders and into your ribs, one of the things is that you're missing all the signals from this lower back. And here's the thing. Lots of people have lower back pain simply because they're not breathing, and simply because their brain cannot see what's going on down here. So it guards everything up. It locks everything up. Isn't that so cool that your body's like, I don't really know what's going on here. I'm not sure because I'm not getting information from here. All I get is walking to the car, sitting down, going to the desk, sitting down. And I'm not getting a lot of information from here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to lock this down so that we don't create an injury. To me, that is like, how cool that we have those checks and balances running in the background of our life to say, hey, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but we're going to protect it. And so what breathing does is, as you're doing those deep breathing and you're practicing breathing all the way down, sending that diaphragm, sending that air as low as it'll go, filling up your lungs as much as you can, what's happening is this is lighting up your brain. It's like, oh, I can see what's happening. Oh, that one's not moving. That one's not moving. Okay, but I at least can see that now. And the more that you do it, the more it's like, all right, we can move. I can trust this space because I'm connected to it. I can trust that as I take a step, I'm not going to slip and fall. As I bend down to pick something up, I don't have to spaz because I know what's going on. Isn't that so cool that your nervous system is that aware of what's going on? And so now, before we step into our exercise, as you know, I like to say a prayer with you guys. And the reason I do this is because, one, I've realized how powerful intention is. And prayer sends your intention to a power that is so much greater than you. The power that coordinated this amazing nonsense that it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. I can get with that. I can pray to that. I might not understand all this human stuff that's going on down here. I might not understand religion, and I might not understand why some people think yoga is bad. But I understand that, man, that's really cool that we're protected like that. And so, yeah, that's what I'm praying to, is that made that massive, beautiful way of protecting me. And I'm going to put my intentions and my heart in that. So, God, as we step forward during this breathing exercise, as we step forward to connect to our body, as we step forward into the temple that you have given us, that you live in every cell, every organ, every tissue. And as we step forward to send more information up to the system that coordinates every cell, every organ, every tissue in our body, please guide our thoughts, guide our hearts, guide my words, so that I might speak what you want me to speak. Let me speak the words that these people need to hear as we step forward in the masterpiece of physiology. Okay? So the big thing when we're stepping into this breathing exercise is, again, we're at this first level. So I don't want you judging yourself. So if you didn't do the first breathing exercise that I gave you, that's okay. There's no organization or order to this. It's literally, I'm showing you all the different things that I use for myself. Okay? So last time we talked about breathing into different locations. I'm going to go into that in a little bit more depth. We're going to be focusing on movement and using our hands. Because again, our hands have so many proprioceptors to tell our brain where our body is in time and space. So let's use these hands and place them on ourselves and say, hey, where am I at? Help me. So you're just getting all the information from the bones moving, the proprioception in the area, but then you're also getting the proprioception from your hands. Isn't that so cool? So that's why breathing is so powerful, is because there's so much information being sent to the brain, especially if you're being intentional with it. So we're going to start with, let's start down low. Okay, you can be sitting or you can be standing like I am, or you can be laying down. It just depends on where you're at. And I do all three because guess what? I'm not always in a place where I can sit down. I'm not always in a place where I can lie down. And I'm not always in a place where I can stand up. But here's the thing, I practice all of them so that I'm always connecting to that power that lives within me. Isn't that so cool? That's so cool. So you can practice these. However, it's meeting your body where it's at right now, which is honestly the only real moment. God's before us, behind us, beside us, inside of us, all around us. And if we're aware enough, which is what these exercises are doing, we are connecting to that power, which is why I wanted to do this physiology and faith. Physiology and faith, because they go hand in hand. It's you spending time in your temple, and I'm going to show you how I do it for fun. Okay? So you can start with placing your hands on your belly. Can you take a deep belly breath, breathing all the way in through your nose into your belly? And you can feel your belly expand. And then as you breathe out, notice that inward causes that expansion and outward makes it come back. In and out. In and out. And now you kind of have a visual of what that looks like. All those bones that are moving right there. That in. Can you make it go all the way down to maybe this junction right here? Can you make it go all the way down there when you're breathing in? Noticing, yeah, this might be difficult. It might be hard. It might be stretching your muscles. It might be you take tiny breaths. It's like, I feel like I can't even breathe that far. Wherever you're at, it's okay. This is a practice, not one moment, boom. Yes, God can work miracles in one moment, but I want you to think of practicing this. Okay, so breathing in all the way down here. Just recognizing where you're at. Okay, then you can take your hands and place them on your ribs and try to expand your ribs. Breathing in and out. As you breathe in, notice your ribs expanding. And as you breathe out, notice them coming back together. Okay? So notice this isn't necessarily going all the way down here. But now you're feeling, okay, what's going on with my ribs? And maybe this is super easy for you. Whereas down here was a little bit difficult. You're like, oh, I'm definitely not a belly breather, but I am a rib breather. It's fine. Now you know where you're at. Okay. The last thing I like to do, and I'm trying not to hit my microphone, is I like to cross my hands and put them at my collarbone, so at your clavicles. And then breathe and see what happens with your shoulders. So breathe in and out. So you're not trying to breathe into your belly. You're not trying to breathe into your ribs. You're breathing under your shoulders. And maybe you notice like, oh, that's stretching my shoulders. Oh, that's stretching that spot in my shoulder that just won't leave me alone, or that spot in my chest that's irritating me. Okay. Maybe you notice you're really good at that. Or maybe you notice, oh, I'm definitely not a clavicle breather. I don't breathe up here. But here's the thing. Don't get caught up in, was that right, wrong, good, bad? It's not any of the above. Was it hard down here today? Yeah, it was. Okay, well, maybe try laying down, or maybe try practicing. Okay, was it hard here today? Okay, well, maybe lay down, maybe sit down, maybe stand up. It's just practicing it in all of the different ways, because you can't do it wrong. It's more so, are you judging yourself? That's huge. Meeting yourself where you're at also allows God to meet you where you're at. And it allows you to take steps out of faith rather than taking steps in fear and judgment, which are super big killers of ordered steps that God can give you. You're praying for that breakthrough. You're praying for that, but you're not spending time in the temple to be able to receive the signals that God gives. And it's so common because we're in such a fast-paced world. Literally sitting, taking 3 breaths here, taking 3 breaths here, taking 3 breaths here, brings you back to right now. Where am I at right now? And can I practice this every single day so that I'm seeing where my body is in time and space? And you'll get even better to where it's like, let me breathe and feel my toe. Let me breathe and feel the right side versus the left side. But it starts with practicing. It starts with that moment of being intentional. And as I'm stepping onto a yoga mat, as I'm stepping into a breathing practice, the first thing I'm saying is, God, my intention is to connect with you. And it releases all that pressure off of me to do it right. But there's sometimes when I still step into the practice and I'm still like, oh, I can't really breathe here. I'm not doing it right. And it's really like, no, you've had certain experiences where maybe you worked your core a little bit more, or maybe you had to sit down for 7 days in a row, or maybe you had to travel. And so, yeah, your muscles are tight here, but that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It just means that's where you're at right now. And I think that's why I think breathing is so powerful. It just shows your body where you're at right now in time and space. You don't got to go get a blood draw. You don't got to go do all of this. Just connect to where am I at right now? And you will watch your physiology change. The more that you practice this, when I'm working with patients, one of the things that I warn them is, hey, we might have just breathed today. We just might have done intentional breathing, but you are probably going to be sore tomorrow. And why is that? Because these muscles have never extended and contracted to that degree before. These muscles have never experienced that much stimulation, that much workout in quotations. And so, yeah, you might be really, really sore after a breathing exercise. But guess what? Your brain is going to love that information. And the more that you practice doing this, the more that you're going to be able to meet yourself where you're at. And so as we step forward today, God, please allow us to give ourselves the grace, to give ourselves the consistency, to constantly step forward with intention to meet ourselves where we are at, in this temple where you reside. Meeting us where we are at allows us to meet you exactly where you are at in each moment, which brings the power of faith to every single moment. It brings your power to every single moment. And so as we take a step forward, the next step, we can be more aware that it is in alignment with you. It is in alignment with health. It is in alignment with all the power that you have, the faith of a mustard seed, right? This is us working on that faith. It's exercising that faith muscle of meeting you in the temple, of meeting me in the temple. And so we are constantly having that communication. Help us as we step forward this week to be intentional with where we're sending our breath so that you can be intentional with where you send us. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, so isn't this artwork, isn't it beautiful? I hope to see you in the barn again soon. And thank you for not judging the aesthetics of the videos. And I hope that you're getting a lot of information out of them. I will talk to you guys soon.